Hey Mathieu, welcome to our camper van.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you here. You're here at the fireplace. A few people have sat there already during the last 2 days at CX Festival. You're here with the Stepstone Group. Maybe tell us before we get started a bit more about Stepstone Group and your role in CX at Stepstone.
Yeah, sure. So the Stepstone Group is basically a job platform. Think about Indeed or LinkedIn, for example, mostly focused on the DACH market, so Germany, Austria, but also active in more or less 30 countries with 4,000 employees and around 140,000 companies working with us, recruiting the best talent. And our vision is that we want everyone to get the right job. So that's our mission.
Cool. And what are you doing as part of the group in CX?
So me personally, I'm a global CX manager. So at Stepstone, the customer experience function in the corporate team is sitting in corporate strategy.
Mhm.
The idea behind is that we want to serve all aspects of the business. We want to serve the like customer service, but we also want to be able to advise the product strategy, to advise all stakeholders, not just one specific part of the business. So the idea is really to be in this holistic position, to really have a full view of everything that concerns our customers and see any opportunities to improve it.
And your role is a more strategic, right, and global role. Like maybe you can tell us a bit about what you do. Like if I'm looking at like we have people in different kind of customer service setups, teams with 10 people, teams with 100 people. I just spoke to someone who ran a team with like hundreds of people at Amazon. So those are very different setups. Like in your setup, what is like what is your role and what are the other customer service leader roles group?
So in the CX team at the global level, we're five actually, one team lead and four CX managers that each of us focus on a specific area. Me, for example, it's mostly the transactional feedback, like having feedback collected at specific moment of the customer journey. But then each country has its own local CX team. And we work in collaboration with them to help them activate the feedback, if I can say. So create the strategies to really not just collect feedback and then nothing happens, because I think that's the worst possible situation. But unfortunately, in a lot of companies, that's what's happening, but that's not what we want. So each country has a team that is, I would say, adapted to the needs of the local team, because that's one thing. Stepstone is a company that grew a lot by acquisition. So each country, each brand, though part of this big family, keeps some local specificities. So it makes sense also to have local stakeholders who adapt to that reality.
And as part of that, we touched on this briefly in the pre-conversation. You're a lot working with technology. We'll talk about this in a second. Before we do that, actually, we'll jump into a small game, Cards Against Complexity. So you've got one card with a sentence or a question, and there's a gap in there. So you'll have to fill that gap. And there's three options. You'll have to choose one of them. So let's see which options you get, and then we'll see what we make out of this. So your CS lead installs the wrong app for your agents to work with. Luckily, we're always lucky in these situations. It's Spotify, so your agents can listen to bangers while resolving tickets. It's Duolingo, so your team can reply to tickets in 9 languages. No, it's Strava, so they can run on the treadmill while talking to customers. Which one do you choose?
Hard one. I would say Spotify, because, well, some spirit lifting that situation.
Yeah, spirit lifting in that situation. Yeah, you've got that wrong tool. You just don't know what to do. To put some music on.
Yeah, I think at some point that's really the, like, how can I say that? When you work in CX, I think you're often having to manage typically that kind of situation. Like we make a decision, we make a choice, we choose a tool, we do something, and it's absolutely not matching the needs of the stakeholders. And that's a nightmare scenario that happens, unfortunately, too often. And that's something we try to avoid. So maybe not to that point. I mean, here it would be a bit extreme, but yeah, I guess some music could make things a bit smoother when we correct the situation.
So Spotify is one option, right? So luckily it's Spotify. We chose Spotify to help our customer service agents. We have a fun atmosphere, but there's other ways to work around that. And What you're doing at Stepstone, you've got a larger setup, you've got all kinds of tooling around. What's the ways? Maybe take me through that in the beginning. Like, so as you're influencing CX across those different teams, different markets, what's typically the ways you try to influence the way CX teams work, and then try to influence and improve the customer journey?
Long story short, it's complicated. It's because you have to think at all scales.
Yeah.
By that I mean you have to meet the need of all stakeholders, but manage sometimes contradictory requirements. Like for example, when you speak to your management, like upper management, what they want is very simple, holistic metrics that will tell you in a glimpse, are we doing good or bad? The problem is those metrics like NPS, they can be very useful to have a sort of global overview of how your business is doing. So, for example, that's something that can be used by our investor relationship team. The problem is it's not very actionable for teams who are facing customers or, for example, need to develop new functionalities, because it's the problem of that kind of big number that is summarizing everything. It doesn't really tell you anything practical about our customers. So we try to build a system that meets that need of the upper management to have that kind of global view of our business, but also we work every day with all the teams, first with the product teams, to always understand what exactly is the product. Like, how is the product working? What is exactly the journey of our customers? Like, if we put ourselves in their shoes, how does it work? What tech is there behind? Like, if I go a bit on the tech side, what triggers are they on the website that we can use to launch a survey? That would actually make sense. And so that's one part of the answer. You have to think at the same time big picture and extreme details, while keeping in mind the fact that customers have a limited time. They don't have hours to answer your surveys. So you also have to keep that in mind, to be mindful with the time of your customers, and to always try to keep that balance. Yeah, but I would say it's a lot of communication, and again communication, and always trying to be relevant with the reality of the business. Because the worst thing you can do is work in a sort of silo or bubble. Like, imagine the perfect CX framework, a perfect survey system, and just deliver it like that without ever aligning with the teams who really understand what they need.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to avoid.
So you talk a bit about surveys that you put in front of your customers. Can you give me examples, like what you do on the website in that kind of customer journey?
Like one example. So in our old transactional feedback system, it was not so transactional. Basically, as a customer, when you sign your contract, we would take the duration of the contract divided in period, and every, let's say, month or 2 months, we send you a short survey asking basically how is it going. Not very, how can I say that? The insights were not the best, to be honest, because it was not very specific. But now with our new integrations and the new tech that we have in our platform, we're able to really identify key events. Like, for example, you're a company, you just bought a job listing, like you're posting an announce to get a customer, to get applicants. We will send you a survey when you publish your listing, asking you specifically about the product. Okay, how did it go? How was the purchase experience? If you were in contact with a salesperson, how did it go? Were you satisfied with that? So very specific. When the listing goes offline, we ask question about management of the applications. Were you satisfied with the applicants you received? Is there anything that was not to your taste in the product, in the platform? Did you have difficulties? So that's the first step. It's to really not be just in this, okay, let's have regular health check with our customers, but not based on anything, to this event happens, let's measure it and see what can be improved.
And that's like for a group of your size, it's a lot of data. It's a lot coming in.
Yeah, that's the other part. I would say in the old system, that was kind of the problem, that we collected a lot of data, like thousands of feedback, but then nothing happened. Or we were in this very old-fashioned way, like analyzing it, making reports. Basically, it's not really helpful to tell to a team, hey, 3 months ago, your customers were not happy with this aspect or this aspect. Okay, great. What do we do with that? So now that we have like a proper integration of our CRM and our survey tool, what happens is basically, if you as a customer give a feedback, whatever the feedback, whether it's positive or negative, first, your account manager will be made aware. Hey, your customer gave a feedback, you should have a look. And then in case it's negative, and depending on the business line or the part of the business you are, we created a whole set of automation that will basically let the right person in the business know, hey, there is a problem here. This customer, let's say a key account, just published a listing, so they are at the beginning of the journey and they are complaining about something. We should probably have a look. You should probably contact them, see if everything is going well with the listing, with that kind of thing. And making this immediately available to the right people, the right teams, like instantaneously, it also enables the team to take initiative and build on that. Like, for example, our service team know that they have this very quick feedback on satisfaction. They are able to identify just at the beginning, a few days after you started like your customer journey, customers who are at risk. And for example, who are not very experienced in recruitment. So they may not have optimized their job listing as they should have. So they will not have good results. So we proactively go to them and say, okay, this is how you can improve your job ad. This is how you can improve your likelihood to get good applicants.
Okay, and that's like really your CRM and the survey tooling, and then a bit of automation in there. How far are you along in this journey? Like, you probably like had to build a lot of this. Is this already fully in production? Are you still rolling out? And like, what are the next steps to make this even better?
So the thing I learned about this, and it was very humbling, to be honest. Initially, we were in this logic of defining the project, it's almost a sort of internal product, like the feedback product. Define it, develop it, launch it, it's done. Actually, that's not how it works, because our tech is always evolving. Like, we always have new products, we always have new ways to work with our customers that constantly make the touch points that we can use or the customer journey evolve, and our tech is evolving. So we basically, to answer your question, we are never done. Right now, we are at a stage where the majority of our customers and the majority of our products are covered by that system. Mm-hmm. But we know we still have a margin of progression where we still have products to integrate. We still have specific types of customers that we need to be able to better survey. And we know also that our product team have things in the pipes. And we know the way they are going to transform the product, we also have to anticipate it. Like, okay, this, for example, new touch point is a perfect opportunity to get feedback from customers. How do we build an automation in this one? What is, technically speaking, the trigger, the event on the platform that we can use and build like that?
And if you now had to start from scratch, and mainly asking this for other people that maybe haven't gone this far yet in like going into a customer journey with a 5-people team and figuring out those touch points, getting service everywhere. If you would start from scratch, again, like what's the best step for anyone to get started when they want to add something like this, like actually data driven, instant, useful, actionable customer feedback along the journey?
I would say the first step is really just to speak with your colleagues. Like, I think when you work in CX, it's one of the functions where you should constantly be aligning, speaking, making like even very informal coffees with everyone in the business. Like, to take the temperature, to understand how your colleagues are working. Colleagues in products, to understand exactly what's their vision for the customers. Colleagues in service, to understand what are the complaints they receive, or for themselves, the way you can improve their way of working. And if you do that, the teams you're going to work with will understand that you are actually building something to help them. Because that's a risk if you don't do that. It's to build a system that people see as a sort of punishment. Like, you're sort of the party pooper, always pointing things that are not working. And that's not what we want, because the idea is also to highlight things that are working well, to also possibly scale them. Like, hey, customers who are served in this specific way or who use this specific product are actually particularly happy. What is working with them that we can scale for other customers?
Yeah.
So build that kind of positive dynamic, positive energy, and again, always constant communication.
Thanks for sharing that. It's a glimpse, I guess, into the journey that you've got at Stepstone, and it's a huge group. There's a lot of work probably going on, lots of customer journeys, but exactly in these 10-15 minutes, that's what we want to do. Dive into a point, and we did this now with an angle on CX and the journey and getting feedback from customers. So thanks for sharing your experience. I'm sure that's going to be helpful for people listening and building something similar into their journey. And I hope they don't end up getting Spotify on board, but actually the proper tooling. But otherwise, some relaxing music might help. So thank you very much for your time. Great to meet you here. And let's get back to the campfire and the CX festival. So it's yours to go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mathieu.